Here's another example of factoring a quadratic expression where the leading coefficient is not 1. So this time we're going to take a look at 6x squared minus x minus 40. Okay, now just like before, we're going to put our big X here. And because we have positive 6x squared minus x minus 40, that tells us one of these is going to be a minus and one of them is going to be a plus. Okay, that's how that correlation works there. So what goes up here? Well, 6 is just 1 times 2 times 3. And what goes down here? Well, 40. What about 40? Well, 40, let's split it up with the factor tree first, because it's a little bit bigger. So 40 is 20 times 2. 20 is 10 times 2. 10 is 5 times 2. So what we have here is 1 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 5. Times 2 times 2 times 5. Okay. So let's go ahead and erase all of this here. All right. Now, just like before, we want to get some pair of numbers here from these here 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 2, 2, 5. Okay, we want to multiply together to get two different numbers so that when we add them together, we get -1 here. So 6x squared minus x, that really just means minus 1 times x. So there's sort of this hidden 1 here. Okay. Okay, so now there are a lot of factors here, which means there's going to be a lot of guessing and checking. So just in the interest of saving time, we're going to skip all that and we're just going to conveniently correctly guess the correct answer at first. So what if we do 1 times 3 times 5, which is 15, and then what's left over? So we used a 1, a 3, and a 5. What's left over is another 1, a 2, a 2, a 2, and a fourth 2. So 1 times 2 times 2 times 2 times a fourth 2 is going to give us 16. Now we have 1 as a minus and 1 as a plus, and we have 15 and 16. So if we do minus 16 and then plus 15, that's actually going to give us what we want, because minus 16 plus 15 gives us -1, which is what we're looking for when we add these two numbers together. Okay. So again, potentially a lot of guessing and checking there, but just in the interest of saving time in the video, we're going to skip all the guessing and checking and conveniently guess the correct answer there first. Okay, so now what we do is use our -16 and positive 15 to split up that -1x. So negative x equals -16x plus 15x. Okay. So when we go back up here, what we're going to have is 6x squared minus 16x plus 15x, oops, minus 40. Okay, so let's go ahead and erase this here. Now again, just like before, so the process is really the same, we're going to factor by grouping. So group these two together, group these two together, and separately factor using the greatest common factor method. So if we come off to the side down here, we have 6x squared minus 16x. So what's the greatest common factor there? Well, between 6 and 16, the greatest common factor is just 2. Between x squared and x, the greatest common factor is just x. So if we factor using the greatest common factor, what we're going to have is 2x. If we pull a 2x out of a 6x squared, what we have left is 3x. If we pull the 2x out of a minus 16x, what we have left is a minus 8. Okay, so far, this whole expression up here equals 2x times the quantity 3x minus 8. Okay, then we have to look at this part here, so 15x minus 40. If we come off down here to the side and look at that separately, 15x minus 40. So what's the greatest common factor here? Well, 15 and 40, the greatest common factor there is going to be 5. And here's an x, here's no x, so the greatest common factor for the whole thing is just 5. Because when we have an x and no x, that's really just 1. The greatest common factor there is just 1. So the greatest common factor then is 5 times 1, which is just 5. Okay, So if we factor using the greatest common factor, pull out a factor of 5, what's left over? 15x divided by 5 is 3x. Minus 40 divided by 5 gives us minus 8. Which is what we're hoping for, right? Because remember, what's in the parentheses here has to match what's in the parentheses here. And then what we have here is plus 5 times the quantity 3x minus 8. And then the last thing to do with factoring by grouping is we look at the expression here, we see, okay, here's one term, here's another term. These two terms have the factor of 3x minus 8 in common. So we can pull out that common factor, and we're going to end up with, let's get rid of this, keep the colors consistent. So if we factor out that common factor of 3x minus 8, what we end up with is this 2x plus that 5, and then multiplied by the 3x minus 8. And that's our answer for this example here. So 6x squared minus x minus 40, we can factor that into 2x plus 5 times 3x minus 8.